open meadows and pasture land can be found by heading to the west side of Vashon. Enjoy this story from the book Heart of Vashon, written by Erin Canfield, An Island Child. When I was 5, my family said goodbye to city life, and I became an island child. We moved to a rundown farmhouse surrounded by expansive horse fields, woods, and ever-grown gardens. Wild chickens roamed the property. Horses escaped over broken fences into the apple orchards to gorge on fruit. In the city, we always locked our doors. Our mother would sit vigilantly on the front porch, watching us play, wary of strangers. As an island child, I ran freely through the woods and fields unchaperoned. We enjoyed doing backflips off hay bales into piles of loose straw, or climbing high into trees, making forts in the sky. When we grew tired of our own backyards, the beach provided endless entertainment. Small crabs became dolls to us. We would make them homes out of seashells and play house with these tiny creatures for hours. During the summer, we would run bravely into the ice-cold waters of Puget Sound and make a game out of who could stay in the longest. These are stories of who I am. This was my life as an island child. Vashon Maury Island Land Trust has worked hard to develop wildlife corridors and sanctuaries on this island we call home. One of their newest acquisitions and development projects is the Neshaw House and Judd Creek Preserve in Paradise Valley. The rooty paths of the Neshaw property lead you to a sweet pond used by woodland and pond birds. The Judd Creek Preserve follows along the creek where cutthroat trout, coho, and chum salmon spend their early lives. I thought I would share a winter walk in the snow with you. The paths lead through alder stands, towering firs, blankets of frosty sword ferns, and open meadows. The woodland birds were busy searching for berries and bugs. Sturdy bridges help you cross Judd Creek and provide a clean palette for animal tracks. How lucky we are to have so many choices for a quiet, contemplative walk in the woods. Thank you, Land Trust. Marcia Blomgren moved to Vashon in 1971 with her husband Carl. He was quite a character. The late 1960s and 70s brought a variety of characters to Vashon. I happen to be fairly well acquainted with one of them. In fact, when I applied for a job at the then People's National Bank, I was asked if my husband was a, quote, hippie-type individual. It was the era of do-it-yourself projects. One such project was an outbuilding at our place. After scavenging old barn wood for the walls, it was time for a roof, a cedar shake roof, no less. My husband Carl scoured the island for old dead cedar snags for this purpose. Eventually, he located one in the canyon by Cedarhurst. After contacting the landowner through King County records, he was granted permission to cut the tree in exchange for some firewood. He and another adventuresome character headed to the tree. Once on location, it was discovered that bees were living in the old tree. Not to be thwarted, Carl and his friend came home to get pillowcases and cut out eye holes in each so that they could peer out. I believe they used rope around their necks to keep the cases in place. It was worth it. A good story and several bolts of cedar that were split for the roof of a structure that was well used for many years. I want to thank Bob Katica for sharing this photograph of the Blomgrens' stave house. His grandchildren are growing up in that house. The Vashon Sheepdog Classic, held on the west side of the island, is a local fundraiser and cherished island event. This is an event where all dogs are welcome. Folks bring their chairs and chow to settle in for an afternoon of the ultimate in dog training. Paradise Ridge Park, a former Nike missile site, is the home of the island equestrians. Training and competition keep the park hopping year-round. The Lysabula Park area, located on Colvos Passage, once was a thriving community on the Mosquito Fleet route, with a post office, school, church, resort buildings, and general store. Now it is the islanders' favorite spot for an afternoon or evening picnic. It also makes a convenient launching spot for exploring the western shoreline. Laurie Stewart, author of On Fisher Pond and co-editor of The Heart of Vashon, wrote the following story about a Vashon moment at Lysabula Beach. One winter afternoon, just before sunset, I took my boys down to Lysabula Beach, which looks west out at Colvos Passage. They were playing in the sand with toy trucks while I sat reading a book. Suddenly, the quiet was broken by percussive sounds across the water. When I looked up, trying to pinpoint the commotion, I saw a large pod of orca on the far side of Colvos heading north. I counted 12, maybe 14, with at least one male and a calf. Some odd atmospheric acoustics must have been at play because their blows were so loud given the distance, sharp, explosive pops when they surfaced. One whale after another, sometimes 3 or 4 together. As thrilling as the scene was, there was something poignant and melancholy too. The dimming light, the ghostly mist of their blows above the darkening water, the way they faded north into the distance. I told the boys to remember this, seeing wild orca, how many there were, what they sounded like. "Why do we need to remember?" they asked. And I didn't have the heart to say what I was thinking, my adult fears for the future, so I hesitated. Then my youngest offered, "So we can tell Papa about it when we get home?" And I said, "Yes, that's it, so we can tell the story." My thanks go to Ray Pfortner for this wonderful orca photograph.